All right, guys. This is episode 35 of the Let's Talk Ball pod. Welcome back to anyone that has watched us before. But as a reminder / an intro for anyone that doesn't know us, my name is Tochi, aka Toch Talks Ball, and I am here with my co-host and good friend Spain. Spain, how are you doing?
Doing great. Had a really enjoyable weekend of watching soccer. Saturday had a nearly perfect day of hate watches, and then had the late winner for Arsenal. So it was a great weekend for some footy. How are you?
Yeah. Great weekend to be an Arsenal fan indeed. On my end, not as good of a weekend watching soccer because of that United loss, but in general, it was a fun weekend just with like all the late winners and some of the late drama that happened in the matches, so that was cool. Tough weekend also FPL wise. We will touch on that probably a few times, but forgot to activate my wild card, took a minus 36 hit. Unfortunately, still had a decent week. I think I still ended up, way more positive than I thought, but still, that's a huge hit to take. So going to be a little bit of a setback in the FPL world, but outside of that, I can't complain.
What happened there? I need to get the full story.
Full story is I just was so convinced that I had my wild card activated and just was making transfers all willy-nilly and spent hours, honestly. Like I spent hours, multiple days in a row planning this wild card thinking that I had it activated, and then went to bed at probably 2 a.m. after making my last little tinkers with my team, and I woke up in the morning and someone made fun of Logan for taking a minus 8 hit thinking he forgot to activate his wild card. So I got in there to look, and I looked at my team and I was like, wait, where's my team at? And I saw I was at 16th place in the league, and I was like, what's going on? And then I saw the negative 36 next to my name, and I was like, there's no way. I just, at no point did I think that I had not already activated the chip. So just had to take that out and ride with it. But I mean, luckily, I think the wild card went okay. So hopefully I can recover.
That's brutal. I didn't know if you were trying to not activate it. So the transfers go through for price rises and whatnot. Because I don't know if people do that, but it just sounds like that was not your strategy. You just completely thought it was activated the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I made early transfers on probably Tuesday. I forget what night it was. Tuesday or Wednesday, I made some transfers really quickly just to get some players in because I wasn't sure if so I made my initial transfers of downgrading Watkins to Erling Haaland, or upgrading Erling Haaland from Watkins, and then downgrading Salah to a different midfielder just to get those transfers in because I knew I was going to do them regardless. And at that point, I knew I hadn't activated the wild card, but for every transfer after that, I thought I had my wild card active. And so I took hits for transferring, I think it was Richarlison in and then back out and then back in or something like that. And same with Chris Richards and a couple other players. I took multiple hits on them, I think. So yeah, brutal FPL week. But
yeah, our buddy Alex in our league, he plays triple captain and did not successfully move his captain over to Holland. It was still on Semenyo from last week.
That's brutal. I thought he did that on purpose. I thought he should be a little differential.
No, he meant to put on Holland but messed up.
Oh, that's a huge L.
So you're not alone in taking an L for something just a mistake like that.
Shout out to Bert though. I still somehow outscored him even though I took the minus 36 hit. So
I'm glad to see he's kind of where he belongs, given some of the stuff he was getting away with early in the season, the luck he was.
Exactly. But back to the pod. So just as a reminder, guys, this is a pod where we like to talk about any and everything Premier League. We do tend to do some deep dives on Arsenal and Manchester United because those are our clubs that we support, but we do talk about everything. And so for this episode, we're going to talk about Game Week 6 and everything that happened. So we're going to start with some Game Week 6 awards where we talk about our winners and losers from the week, any sort of fraud watch, goals of the week, that kind of stuff. And then after that, we'll talk about our deep dives with each club. And then maybe we'll touch on some FPL at the end. I'm not sure. It depends on timing. And then we'll also do some Game Week 7 predictions. We've got some UCL matches lined up. None of them look like too blockbuster matches, really, besides PSG versus Barcelona. So probably won't spend too much time talking about that stuff, but that is something to be on your radar as well. Let's see. So let's move forward with our Game Week 6 awards. So starting from the top, let's talk winners and losers of the week. Spain, who is your winner of the week?
For me, it's got to be Arsenal. We had that big late win against Newcastle. They've always given us a hard time. And then on top of that, Crystal Palace beat Liverpool, so Liverpool dropped points. So we closed the gap down to 2 points, which is great for us. For us, based off of our win and how results went around the league, I'll say we were big winners this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that. Imagine waking up, getting to hate watch Manchester United versus Brentford, and then right after that, you get to see Chelsea lose versus Brighton. And then right after that, or I guess around the same time, you watch Crystal Palace beat Liverpool, who are the top of the table. But on top of that, it's Eddie Nketiah of all people to kill them off at the end in that manner. Like, I feel like you can't really have asked for a better Saturday. And then to go into Sunday and win in the way that you guys did, I'd be on top of the world after that as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, it would have been perfect if Tottenham didn't score that late equalizer. That would have really made it a perfect weekend. City won, but that was expected against Burnley. And I did triple captain Holland, so I wanted them to win this week alone for that reason. But great week all around.
Yeah. For me, on my end, my winner of the week was Crystal Palace. Going into the game, they were on a 17-game unbeaten run, and you thought if it would end anywhere, it would be against Liverpool, but they ended up getting a late winner against Liverpool, and so now that's 18 games unbeaten for them, and they're really establishing themselves as a true powerhouse. They lost Eze. It looks like they've got no issue with it. They're just still cooking, still rolling along. So Crystal Palace are my winners of the week.
Yeah, very well deserved by them, and I think they deserve to win that game too. They had tons of chances and could have easily had a couple more goals.
Yeah. And then let's move on to the losers of the week. I will start here. I'm going to make Amorim and Manchester United my losers of the week. I wasn't expecting, I mean, it's expected of United to be inconsistent and lose games, but to lose this game after getting such a helpful win against Chelsea it hurts because this is the perfect time for them to try and build momentum. They had the Chelsea match, and then they've got Brentford and Sunderland all in a row right before the international break, and then they have Liverpool right after that. And it would have been really helpful for them to get 3 points here against Brentford, and they totally blew that with a bad performance. And I think the reason that they're losing out so much is, yes, it would have been great for confidence, but if you look at the league table, everyone around them is, not everyone, but a lot of the teams are struggling right now. Newcastle are still below them in the table, surprisingly. Aston Villa just got their first win of the season, who coming into the season, that was probably like around their tier of competition. So they could have pulled away from those guys a bit. And then on top of that, Chelsea lost, Liverpool lost, and obviously City won, but I think if Manchester United had won, they'd be sitting close to like top 4 or 5 in the league right now. I forget what the table looks like exactly.
You'd be tied on 10 points with City. City in 7th.
In 7th? Okay. So it still would have helped them get a lot closer to the top teams. It would have been 3 points off of Arsenal, who are in 2nd place, right? And then 5 points off of Liverpool. So it just would have been a huge opportunity to help close the gap against some of these teams. And Manchester United definitely could have used that boost going into the next game. But now pressure's right back on Amorim, and they did not take their opportunity. So that's my loser of the week.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine's going to be Maresca and Chelsea. They're on 2 losses in a row for them. And apparently Maresca is on the hot seat. According to, I saw Indy Kayla posted something today that they're Clear Lake is talking to Todd Bowley and putting pressure on Maresca. So he's got pressure on him. It's 2 losses in a row for Chelsea. They've just kind of been up and down this season, has some good wins, has some bad losses. So I just don't think they're in a great spot at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think looking at that match, I could understand getting the red early to United and losing that one, but you can't. I didn't see Chalobah's red card, so I don't know exactly what happened and what transpired. But for them to get another red card and lose another important defender when they're already super light at the back, but then on top of that lose 2 matches in a row and lose in the manner that they did to Brighton, I think that really hurts them. So I can back that as a loser of the week as well. Okay, and then we've kind of already touched on Palace Liverpool a bit, but that is my match of the week. So match of the week in game week 6 is Palace versus Liverpool. For me, that was my match of the week because it was a successful Liverpool hate watch. So like I can't complain about that. But also, if you look at how the game went, there were 7 big chances for Crystal Palace and 6 big chances for Liverpool. So it sounds like it was an exciting game, probably a bit back and forth, and with a game with a bunch of good opportunities. So for a neutral fan, I think it was awesome to see the chances in that match. But then on top of that, to see the way that it ended and have Liverpool get a taste of their own medicine, I think that was the most satisfying watch for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good one. My match of the week is Arsenal versus Newcastle. Not surprising either. We already kind of talked about it a bit, but there's just lots of drama, lots going on in the game. It was a late winner, some VAR controversy, some like heated points between players because that game has some history over the past few years with it getting heated. So it just kind of lived up to everything that was expected. St. James's Park was rocking as expected. Lots of drama. So yeah, that was my game of the week.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was a fun one to watch from a neutral perspective. It had its chances, it had its goals. I thought it was hilarious to see Multimade come in and score his header against Set Piece FC, and then for you guys to come back and score with an actual set piece again at the end, what I thought was like very poetic. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, this game has always been a bit chippy, I feel like, in the past couple seasons. Like, I think, was it last season that, like, was it Joe Ellington or someone just, like, absolutely elbowed Jorginho in the back of the head or something like that? I don't know if it was last season or the season before that.
Bruno Guimaraes with an elbow to the back of Jorginho.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Could have been last year, but I think it was 2.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I just feel like there is a history of these games getting a bit chippy. Mm-hmm. Newcastle is like is probably the most physical team in the Premier League, and then Arsenal always tries to like kind of, I feel like, match their physicality a bit, and so it makes for a fun watch for neutral fans. Definitely an intense one, and it was filled with all sorts of late drama as well. There was the VAR controversy during a couple of different moments during the match and whatnot, and so I feel like the game really had it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, who was your after match of the week? What was the moment of the week for you?
I didn't really have one that stuck out to me, so I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, mine was the Gabriel late winner. I mean, we were talking about the Newcastle Arsenal game so much already, but I think it was the most exciting part and a huge swing in the game and probably in the title race for Arsenal. Definitely gave us good momentum, and closing the gap was huge. Liverpool dropping points. It really would have felt like a lost opportunity for Arsenal if we did not get a win against Newcastle.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really argue with that. And then speaking of goals, what was your goal of the week? Did you have any there?
I think there were some good goals throughout the week. No standout ones, like the John McGinn goal from outside the box, just a nice low-driven shot to the corner. He's got a good number of outside-the-box goals. I heard like some stat. I can't remember if it was in the league or in the Champions League, but he's scored a bunch of outside-the-box goals. So I'll give John McGinn that award for the week for me.
Sure.
What about you?
For me, on my side, I felt the same. There was no standout goal of the week, but there were a few nice goals. So I just wanted to, like, as you can see in the notes, I just want to kind of like outline a few. So starting from the top, I want to talk about Igor Thiago against Manchester United. The first goal, it was a really good, like, Manchester United looked like they were about to score, and then Dalot messed up the pass to Cunha. Brentford get the ball, and it's one just long ball over the top. Harry Maguire gets his timing wrong, and Brentford are in on goal coming towards us. But Igor Thiago did hit it really well. I think Bayindir could have closed down the angle a little bit better, to be honest, but still, the way he hit that, like, no one's saving that. He hit it left foot off the volley. I don't know. He might be left-footed. I don't know him well enough as a player, but regardless, it was top bin. So I thought that was a really good goal. And then Palhinha versus Wolves. I put this one in there because it was a pretty tidy finish, but I think it was more so for the moment in the game that it came because it was so late in the game and it helped Tottenham secure a point. I thought that was a massive goal and a good finish at that. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, we had the Eddie Nketiah goal, massive moment at the end of the game to secure all 3 points for Crystal Palace. I thought that was huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are all good ones. We can move on to player performance of the week. For me, I put down Eze and Rice. Thought they were both fantastic in our win against Newcastle. Eze did not get on the score sheet or assist, but he was really involved. and then Rice got an assist and was just everywhere. So he kind of showed his kind of back to his best all action midfielder, creating but also defending. He had one in particular good recovery around the 60th minute when we were still down by one. He recovered to stop who was it? Jacob Murphy. He had a really good recovery there. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out as Rice for my performance of the week.
Yeah, I remember that recovery run now that you're talking about it, because it looked like he was almost like in on goal by himself, and Rice just kept at it and eventually got himself in the right spot to stop that.
Yeah,
I forgot about
block the shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really have any player performances of the week, really. Maybe an anti-performance of the week is Esteve I don't know how to say his name, from Burnley. He had 2 own goals in the match, and then at the very end of the game, I believe he must have been the one involved because it looked like it was Burnley's 2 center backs. Both of them go for a header at the end of the match and ended up heading it right to Haaland, who's just in on goal. And it's just a hilarious way for Man City to score a goal. And also pisses me off because if I didn't mess up my wild card, I would have definitely been on triple captain for Haaland. And so watching every single goal contribution for Haaland in that game was just hurt even more, knowing that I'd messed up my wild card and could have at least been on the triple captain.
Yeah, watching that game live was really fun as a Haaland triple captainer because it was 2 really late goals that came in super quick succession. Yeah, we at least had the assist for Haaland, and it wouldn't have been like a really good triple captain, but had the assist, and I was kind of resigned to that. I was not really expecting, or wasn't sure if Haaland was going to play 90 because he was rumored to be injured. So for Haaland to stay on for the full 90 of those 2 late winners was a great watch.
Yeah, a brutal watch for those of us that weren't on it. Let's move on to who was your unsung hero of the week?
This one goes out to a player who's kind of been building, but Granit Xhaka, he had the assist off of the set piece to Alderete, who scored that goal for Sunderland to give them the win over Forest. Xhaka's just been a great leader for them throughout the season, has been putting in great performances, but to have that assist, I thought he just deserved the special shout out this week, even though he's been fantastic throughout the season so far.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like your first shout out that wasn't an Arsenal player is now a former Arsenal player.
Yeah, there's a theme going.
But yeah, I do agree with that. I think he's been super solid for Sunderland, and they are absolutely rolling. And the other thing that I wanted to call out from that match was I had a 17-pointer from Alderete or whatever on my bench in FPL. Not that I ever really would have thought to start him, but if I did, that would have been incredible. Like, I think even with my minus 36, I think with all the transfers, I was still on a +5, I think, differential for my transfer.
+7, I just checked like 2 minutes ago. I was curious.
So +7, and if I had started Alderete as well, I mean,
yeah.
I know that factors into it, but that would have been huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, my unsung hero of the week for game week 6 is Jared Bowen. Not so much. I thought he scored a huge goal today. Everton versus West Ham just ended a few minutes ago, and he scored a huge goal today. It took a deflection on the way in, but I just want to give him his flowers because as bad and as gloomy as West Ham have been over the last season or two, it's just he is the one steady Eddie that, like, no matter what, it's like death, taxes, and Jared Bowen trying to bail out West Ham in these matches, and he scored a huge goal again today. So I think he's someone that deserves his flowers because right now it's just like, who else but him, really? Like, Paqueta shows up sometimes, but I think every week, week in, week out, Jared Bowen is out there making a difference. Yeah,
he deserves a statue at West Ham when his time comes up there. I don't know how they held on to him for so long, why he's stuck around, because he is good enough to play on much better teams. But he is always good for at least a goal in a game for West Ham and consistently does come through with a goal for them. And then I wanted to give a quick shout-out, honorable mention to Jade Anthony. He was on the losing side of 5-1 to City, but he scored again this week. I mentioned him last week as my unsung hero, so I just wanted to shout out Jade Anthony for continuing his goal-scoring form. He's looking really good.
At scoring. Who is your Game Week 6 Fraud Watch award going to?
This person got upgraded from loser of the week from last week to on fraud watch, and that's Andrew Postecoglou.
Nice.
He's looking bleak for Forest right now. They've got 0 wins since he's come in. Lots of losses. I think maybe 1 or 2 draws, but things are looking really bleak for Nottingham Forest. Just quite the change up from them having a pretty good start to the season under Nuno and being so good last year to 0 wins under Ange. So he is on fraud watch.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that one. It's not looked good for Forrest so far under Ange. I thought maybe he'd hit the ground running a little bit faster. I know he's still new, still trying to figure out the squad and all that, but he's got to at least be on watch. If not quite a warning yet, but at least a watch. Yeah, so that's it for our Game Week 6 awards. Next, we're gonna go deep dive into Arsenal versus Arsenal versus Newcastle, and then Manchester United versus Brentford. All right, so back from the quick little intermission. Like I said, we want to cover the Arsenal and Manchester United matches in more depth here. So I will let you start with the game of the week, and that was Newcastle versus Arsenal. That one ended 2-1. As an Arsenal fan, how did you feel about it? What are the things you noticed? What do you want to talk about here?
I thought we played really well. I think in some of the previous games, like the City game, I thought we also played well, but we didn't create nearly as much. This game, I thought we created a lot of chances, which is what I was most pleased with seeing. We were still pretty solid defensively. We gave up some chances that we probably shouldn't have, but overall, the creativity was one of the things I was happiest about, and I think we deserved the win. What I really noticed was that we were moving the ball a lot quicker going forward and like breaking the lines and being more direct. We weren't like making too many passes. We were like moving the ball really quickly forward, and that gave our players space to like kind of get in behind. We got Gyökeres more involved because we were able to like move it quicker to Eze, move it quicker to Saka, and then play in people before Newcastle's rest defense could get behind the ball. So that's like what I was like most excited about, and it ended up creating 2.04 XG for us, and we had like 5 big chances. So I thought just offensively, it's what I was hoping of seeing. I think a big reason for that was Eze starting in the right 8 for the first time.
Yeah, I was just going to say pretty much the same thing. I thought Arsenal looked like, it feels like Arteta kind of, I don't know if he did this on purpose or what, but it seems like he kind of heard some of the criticisms about taking the handbrake off the team a little bit. And I do think you guys came out just a little bit more aggressive going forward and just quicker with the attacks, like you said. And I was wondering if that was like a tactical instruction or if that's just something that comes with having Eze more centrally, with him being a player that just is so good at creating those transitional moments and kind of getting the ball up the field better and quicker than maybe someone like a Martin Odegaard is, or even like a Mikel Merino who's played some minutes for you guys in that midfield recently. Because I thought it was interesting how Eze was able to affect the game from those positions. And one question I had for you, which maybe I don't know if we want to talk about it now or later, is like, in that position, who do you prefer to see moving forward? Do you think it's going to be more of like a game-dependent thing? I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit on the last pod, whether it's Eze or Odegaard in that position, because I do think Odegaard came on and actually changed the game in a positive way for you guys in that second half as well. So like, I think there's obviously a place for both of them, but I did think it was interesting to see how you guys did seem a little bit more direct and like you were, actually getting some attacks off. Like I think that's when you guys looked at your best, when you were going a little bit more quickly and attacking in transition versus when play started to settle. It seemed like it went back to the tactics of past years where it's, all right, work the ball around, probably get it to Saka, but then he's going to be double teamed on the side by whoever the left back is, and maybe Anthony Gordon and like Dan Burn over there or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was a mix of maybe instructions, but largely I think it has to do with Eze. And I also don't really know if Newcastle were as like set back in like their defense, like we're planning like to sit back as much as they do in the past. Because with the City game, they were set back so hard, so it was even hard to get those transition moments. But with Newcastle, we were able to get in behind and transition on them a lot more than we were like against City. So I really need to watch. Like I would have to watch back both games to see if it was just like Newcastle not sitting as deep tactical wise, or if it was the fact that we were good enough and were passing quick enough through the lines to get there before they were able to get in and sit super deep. So I can't really. I'm not prepared enough to like figure that out, but I think largely as a starting had a big part to play in that. And going forward, like I want to see Eze start over Odegaard. I saw enough to where I think Eze brings a lot more to the team at the moment. He's so much quicker on the ball, turning and playing forward. He takes more risk, which is what I like to see, and he gets so many more shots off and is a better shooter than Odegaard. There were multiple times where if that first kind of half volley he got, Odegaard wouldn't have, I don't think, shot that. I don't think he would have been able to like get that first touch that Eze did to settle it. That one volley he had, Odegaard maybe would have hit it, but I don't think would have struck it as well. I'm just loving what I saw from Eze at the right 8, and I want to see him starting over Odegaard going forward. And then it does give us more depth because I thought Odegaard and MLS, also with Skelly, were great when they came on at the end, and they give us that quality, but just really fresh legs. So we were to really pin them back at the end of the game and create some chances with Odegaard's great passing and Miles Skelly's attackingness and like good vision, running behind and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I like everything you just said about that. I mean, I love watching Eze, and I do agree. I think it probably be better to see him in that position for you guys moving forward. I think I said a little bit about this last week, but I just think there's so many of his qualities that come out when he can play a little bit more centrally versus having to play on that left wing for you guys. So I'd love to see him get more minutes there. Was there anything about the Arsenal team selection that you thought was of note in that match?
Yeah, we already mentioned Eze. Trossard started on the left again. That's 2 in a row for him. I thought he was fine. He had that one shot off the post, which would have been the first goal of the game, which would have been really nice. But I don't know. I feel indifferent about him starting there over like Martinelli because Eze started at the right 8. I have no problem with either Martinelli or Trossard starting at the left. I kind of like having Martinelli come on at the end with his pace. So I guess I was just talking through it now. I think Trossard was the best pick at left with having Eze start at the right 8 with Madueke still out. I would like to see Madueke at the left if possible.
Yeah.
And then the other change was Mosquera starting over Saliba. I think that's just an fitness thing for Saliba. He's been injured a bit, and we wanted to make sure not to overexert him. Mosquera did have the giveaway that led to the corner that led to Newcastle's goal. I thought he looked fine other than that, but there just is a bit of a quality drop-off from Mosquera to Saliba, or from Saliba to Mosquera, which is expected because he's a young new signing. So he still didn't look bad, but it was nice to be able to bring on Saliba and just kind of get back to our best and most solid defense.
Yeah, I think the depth, I guess going to touch on that point, I feel like the depth for you guys has been very good for you guys this season. Like, you've had quite a few injuries, but it seems like the quality drop-off just hasn't been there, and you're able to bring actual difference makers off the bench. Like, shout out to Tim Howard. I think he said it on the halftime show, so I got to give him his flowers. But he said, I think this game is screaming out for Mikel Merino because he can make a difference in the box, in and around the goal. And then that's exactly what happened to help get you guys back into the game. So I thought that was cool to hear from him.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to bring up the point about our depth. I think that really helped win us the game. Like you said, Marino directly leading to that goal. And then Odegaard and Miles Skelly, as I previously mentioned, they came on and just really helped us pin back Newcastle, and which helped us win all those corners at the end, and which ultimately led to the winner from Gabriel. And it's just so nice. Like you said, we have a good number of injuries with Madueke out and Havertz out. Having both of them would be great. But still, just with our extra signings, bringing on Marino, bringing on Odegaard, bringing on Miles Skelly. Last year, towards the end of the season, we were not bringing on that quality. So that just makes a huge difference in the title challenge over the course of the whole season. Yeah,
it definitely does. I think it'll be huge for you guys once she gets Havertz back as well. I thought there were a couple moments during the match the other day that I kind of thought to myself, like, I do feel like you guys do miss him a bit, especially think like I said, we've already talked about this, but like you miss that hold up play and his ability to kind of link up and bring others into the game when he's playing back to goal, and also probably a slightly better box presence. I don't know how to describe the difference between like Havertz's box presence and Gyökeres's box presence, but there's also some intricacies there that I think are different, where Havertz might be a little bit more beneficial for you guys in some moments.
Mm-hmm. And then just speaking on like missing Havertz's hold-up play, I thought Gyökeres was a lot better today. There was the one play where we worked it up the right side, and then that led to the Trossard shot off of the post. It did go into Gyökeres originally, who passed it back to Saka. So that was some really good hold-up play by him. He was getting on the ball a little bit more, so I think he's settling in and getting better. And we have had to play some tough teams so far, so I expect him to get some goals in the coming weeks against this softer schedule. But all in all, definitely do miss Havertz and want him back. But I think Gyökeres will start looking better in the next couple games.
Yeah, I did notice the improvement in his back-to-goal play as well this week. I feel like we got to talk about some of the other moments from the match, though. I think there were a few VAR interventions that were a little bit controversial, so I'd love to hear your take on them. With the first one, I guess the first notable one was Pope taking out Gyökeres on that breakaway?
Yeah,
what do you think there?
Gyökeres gets onto, I think, a bad back pass or something. One-on-one with the keeper, takes a touch to go past Pope. Pope takes him out, and then they call a PK. VAR reviews it, and I guess like the VAR person running the VAR review it sounded like he was pretty adamant in convincing the ref based off the NBC coverage that they were saying, because they were like, I guess they can listen to what the VAR people are saying to the ref. So the VAR ref saw that like Pope got a nick on the ball with his toe. So because he touched the ball and took out Gyökeres, it shouldn't be a foul. I'm kind of in the middle about it. My biggest thing is I think it should have stood, because I don't think it was a clear and obvious error by the referee and enough to change it. If he didn't call a penalty, I don't think it should have got overturned. If he called a penalty, I just don't think it should have gotten overturned no matter what the ref called, because it could be argued either way, and I've heard people argue both sides of it. So there's clearly like not a right answer or wrong answer here. I just think it was wrong to overturn the ref because there was so little in there to make it like clear and obvious. And the whole clear and obvious thing, I don't even know like why they use that, because things get turned over all the time that are not clear and obvious. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I can agree that clear and obvious is just so ambiguous of a term, and I'm not really sure how they choose to apply it in this or in all these scenarios with the VAR. But I would say I would like to put this on record, especially for the guys in my group chat. I am accused all the time of being a closet Arsenal fan and someone that's completely biased towards Arsenal, but I won't lie. When I saw it live, I didn't think it was a penalty. And then when they called the penalty, I was not like surprised, but I was like, okay. But then I saw the replay and I was like, okay, I do think Nick Pope got a piece of the ball. So like, I wouldn't call that a penalty. Like, I didn't think it was very controversial at all until I saw people talking about it after the game. And I saw some of the reactions to some of the fans online and stuff like that. But like watching that, I thought like no questions asked. Like I thought Pope got enough of the ball to not really call it anything. So
yeah, it's also
that was my opinion.
Yeah, it's also people arguing that in like the Sanchez, Fallon and Buemo, that he also touched the ball. So like there's like that. It was a little bit different. I'm not really feel too strongly either way. I already made my points about it. So.
Yeah, I saw that point about the Mbemo thing as well, and I do remember thinking Sanchez might have gotten a piece of the ball, and I'm not really sure why. Again, haven't been involved in the VAR decision, so I'm not exactly sure like what their reasoning was. If anything, maybe it's like another rule probably shouldn't change. I don't know if it's like it being in the box versus outside the box, and then Sanchez was also kind of like his leg was like up high, kind of on Mbumo's thigh, versus like Nick Pope was on the ground, and he did make contact with Gyökeres' thigh, but like I don't know if there's nuances there that might be making a difference there. But I did think that was interesting as well. I did see that. And then what else? I mean, I think for the Newcastle goal, I don't think that was a foul either. I think Gabriel should have just been stronger. I don't really know what he was doing there or why he thought that was the move.
That was
I feel like he
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would say that was just bad play, pretty shameful by him. Very soft, and I saw that replay and I was like, oh no, that's such a bad look. He could have just like he got touched barely, but he could have totally just jumped up and headed the ball.
Yeah,
like, I don't think he would have got like a good header on it, but he at least could like jumped up and at least like hit it like straight up in the air or something. Bad look by Gabriel. Definitely nothing there.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the situations where like maybe you go down if you really think like you don't have a chance, but I feel like if he just tried it all, like that
Yeah,
wouldn't have been a goal.
yeah, agreed. Don't know what he's doing there.
And then we had the moment right after that goal with Gabriel going after Ultimate after the kickoff.
Hmm.
I would have hated to see him get sent off for that. So personally, I don't think it was like a red, but I do think it's par for the course for this matchup. It seems.
Exactly. I don't think it was a red either. I think he tried to push him. His hand kind of slipped. I also think he was just kind of caught up in the moment and upset at himself for conceding that goal the way he did. And thankfully, they didn't take it to VAR, give a red card because that would have been really soft. Or just not soft, but unfortunate because it wasn't like really deserving of a red, just kind of a coming together. And Gabriel shouldn't have done that, but because I have seen people get red carded for something like that, but it really would have sucked if a red card came from that. And then it would have been terrible on the internet because Arsenal fans would have lost it if he got a red, and then Bruno did it years ago for that elbow on Jorginho. So thank God that didn't happen. That would have been terrible to have to read and go through.
Yeah, he didn't really hit him that hard either. To be fair, like he didn't really cause too much damage or anything like that. And I also think the ref did a good job of calling just a pretty like loose game in general. Not loose in a bad way, but just like pretty lenient. Like he let some stuff go both ways. Like I thought he was pretty fair most of the game.
Agreed. Like there was a lot that like happened, and the talking point really wasn't about the ref at the end of the day, which is what we want.
Yeah.
So in that sense, he did a good job.
Yep. And then let's move on to the last couple incidences. There was Lascelles' hand basically doing the mass celebration for Victor Gyökeres, which I thought was hilarious. And then Bruno Guimaraes had a potential handball in the box that like he was kind of trying to turn away, but it did hit his hand, which I thought I've seen that kind of called depending on the situation. I feel like in the league this season, I feel like the handball rules kind of like all over the place. And then of course we have the big one that everyone's screenshotting and putting online, which is Gabriel going to try and tackle Anthony Elanga in the box towards the end of the match, and his arm is up in the air over his head, and he does block the ball. But that one is eventually determined as not a handball by VAR either. What are your takes on those moments?
Yeah, with the Gabriel one, I think it touches him first. I think it deflects off his shin and then goes off his hand. So I think that's like the big reason why they didn't call it so close. I was worried that they could have been given. If it didn't deflect off his shin first, I think it is probably given because his hand was pretty far away. But it would have been really unfortunate because it was so close, and there's nothing you could do about that. I think the Bruno block came later, a potential handball, and there was no real check there. But I don't think that should have been a handball either. I think there would have been a lot more talk about it if the Gabriel handball was turned into PK. Then the Bruno one would have been much more a talking point. If I basically gave one, the other one's pretty similar. And then the Lascelles just trying to choke Gyökeres. I don't know what he's trying to do, is put his hand over his face. I don't think there's really too much there. Just kind of Newcastle being super physical. And not just. I think it was good that none of those were made into anything bigger. It's just a physical game. But it was like some funny moments, interesting talking points there. But yeah, I'm glad nothing came of any of those.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would have been kind of against the way the game went, and I thought both teams, like I said, had their moments where the ref could have called some, but like I feel like he kind of let the boys play, which I appreciated today. The Gabriel one, I thought he might call it first when I first saw it, but then I guess they're saying it hit off his leg first and then up into his arm. And yeah, I think maybe in the UCL where the handball rule is a little bit more strict, maybe that gets called there, maybe not. But either way, I'm glad the game wasn't changed too much by a single VAR call. I thought on balance, I think it was still fair that Arsenal ended up getting the points there, just from the way that the goals are scored.
Yeah, I would have felt hard done by if the penalty kick that got overturned in the first half was overturned and then we gave up that handball. I would have felt hard done by then. But on the balance of everything, like they said, nothing got called really. On balance, it was fair.
Nice. Any other notes from this game?
There was one note that I wanted to make. I think I forgot it. Oh well, we can move on.
Not wasn't about the team tactics, a single player, anything like that.
Oh, actually, yeah. Going forward, just talk about the where we are right now.
Oh yeah.
We are on, just to make sure I got it right. So we're on 13 points after 6 games, and I think that's like right where we want to be. Based off, we had a pretty tough start this season. We played
Yeah.
Liverpool, City, and Newcastle, three really tough teams. So to be on 13 points, 2 points off of Liverpool, in second, we're in second, they're in first. I think is where we want to be. So very happy with how we've come through so far, given a good number of injuries, given Liverpool having some crazy endings and just being on crazy form, a lot of luck going their way too. I'm very happy with where we're at, and I think we're perfectly set up for a long title challenge with Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then we've got some really good fixtures coming our way coming forward. So I think it'll be in perfect timing, kind of with the season starting to get more busy with UCL and whatnot. I'm feeling really, really good at the moment.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's well said. I think you guys are in a great position after, especially with Liverpool dropping points the way they did, to be within 2 points of Liverpool going into this more favorable fixture run, I think is huge for you guys. But I do think you forgot to mention one huge team that you played at the beginning of the season, Manchester United in the first game of the season. Another hard matchup, just to say. Yeah, but I think that is all.
I thought about mentioning that one, but with how things have turned out recently, I figured it wasn't worth mentioning.
Fair enough.
It wasn't. It was at game week 1. It was a tough game for us.
Yeah, we definitely could have gotten away with a point there, but that's how. That's what do they say? That's what title-winning teams need to do. They need to go get those points.
Yep.
Speaking of Manchester United, though, if you're done with Arsenal and Newcastle stuff, I can move over to my Manchester United deep dive here.
Let's do it.
All right. So Saturday morning, I woke up at 7:30 to watch us lose 3-1 to Brentford. Really disappointing result. And I'm not exactly sure where to start. I guess I will start with the team selection, because I think that is the beginning of my issues with the game. So, at wingback, I thought this was the perfect game for Amad Diallo to start at right wingback. He had been starting the last couple games at inside forward, and I thought wingback Amad was going to be perfect with Cunha being back and healthy. And I was really excited to see the team dynamics with that, with Cunha and Mbumo as the inside forward, Sesko as the striker, Amad as right wing back, and that would have been the most attacking lineup we've been able to field all season. And Amad, unfortunately, had a close family member pass away, so he stepped away from the team this week, so he was not available. And that kind of put us in a tough situation where we kind of had to set up, I think, more defensively than we would have liked, because we had Diogo Dalot starting at right wing back. Mazraoui had been playing decently at right wing back, but he picked up another small injury, so he's out for a few weeks. So we're without Mazraoui, without Amad, and that basically picked our wing backs for us. We had Dorgu left wing back and Dalot right wing back. I don't have any issue with that, but then you go to the back line, and our back line was Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Matthias de Ligt. And I understand the logic of trying to play your more aerially dominant players against a team like Brentford, who specialize at set pieces and making you hurt when it comes to these scenarios from corners, long throw-ins, playing long and direct, that kind of stuff. I understand where Amorim was coming from there, but at the same time, it's hard. I have a hard time dropping Lenny Yoro from the lineup, because Lenny Yoro's been actually pretty decent in the air this season. Historically, maybe not as good as Matthias de Ligt or Harry Maguire, but one, Luke Shaw's been out of form, so you could play Lenny Yoro at left center back. He put in some good shifts at left center back last season, including in our Europa League run. So you could have played him there. Or I do think Lenny Yoro still was good enough to where, like, if you look at how we gave up the first goal, it was Harry Maguire getting burnt on about the halfway line, trying to basically put in an offside trap, and he didn't have the pace to recover and actually challenge the shot, versus Lenny Yoro is probably our fastest and quickest defender. If he's there, is he able to recover in time and make that a harder shot for Thiago and not make us go down 1-0 so early in that game? Maybe. So I'd struggle to see why that happened. But I think my biggest issue with the lineup in the team selection last week was Kobbie Mainoo not getting that start in the midfield. We went with Bruno in the pivot and Manuel Ugarte. And I just feel like this is the perfect opportunity to give Kobbie Mainoo his first shot. I think the game plan, and Ruben Amorim kind of spoke to this even afterwards. He was saying, we played Brentford's game, and I assume by we played Brentford's game, he meant we tried to play very direct, try and hit long balls and not really settle possession. And if you want to settle possession, there's no better midfielder to put into our lineup than Kobbie Mainoo. He is the type of guy you put in your midfield. The ball sticks to his feet. He can kind of help you progress the ball centrally a little bit more than some of these other players that we have can do. And so I think that's where Amorim went the most wrong. I can understand the logic behind the center backs. I understand the wing backs, but the midfield, I don't really know exactly what he was thinking having Ugarte in there rather than Kobbie Mainoo. He talks about how he believes in him. And I just feel like this would have been the perfect game for him to go in there and try and make a difference. And so that's kind of my biggest issue. I think that's probably my biggest issue with Amorim in general. Not so much the system and how the system works and the tactics. I think it's more so the players that he's choosing to play, some of the substitutions he's choosing to make. The substitutions in this game, I can't really blame him. He literally tried everything, brought in everyone that he could. So I can't blame him from that. I just think you got to get it more correct from the start, in my opinion.
Yeah, a couple questions for you. So do you think Mainoo could start? I mean, you said over Ugarte, right? So you think he brings enough like defensiveness, or qualities in this game to cover enough? Do you think just like for the matchup against Brentford, you don't need it as much?
I think he could potentially get exposed defensively, but in the little cameos that he's come on, I think he's actually been pretty solid defensively from what I've seen him when he does get subbed on. Like, he's tracking back, he's making tackles, he's making an effort, and I think he's starting to understand the defensive midfield position just a little bit more than he did in the past. But more so, like you were saying, I think against Brentford, it's maybe not needed as much because Brentford seemed like a team that's okay with playing without the ball. So if we are playing a team that's okay with playing out the ball, they're not really consolidating possession against us. You don't need the defensive qualities as much versus Mainoo is someone that can help you keep the ball so that Brentford don't even get to touch it to begin with, because Brentford weren't even transitioning and cutting through our midfield. Like that wasn't the issue. It wasn't that our midfield was empty and they were like absolutely tearing us apart through the middle. They were just playing over the top. They just kept hitting long balls over the top over and over again. That's how their first 2 goals happened. It was like they were playing just old school Barclays, just route one football, get it with the center backs, hoof it down the field to a striker to hold the ball up and see what happens with the second balls. And so at that point, do you really need someone in the midfield that's stopping transitions when they're not even really transitioning like that? Which is kind of like where my mind was at. And I feel like going into the match, the game plan should have been to keep the ball against them, try and hem them in and dominate possession. And I think Kobbie Mainoo would have been more effective at that.
Yeah, did you see, I think it was Amorim's post-match where he was saying that if you win, it's not the system. If you lose, there's a system. But our issue is that we didn't keep the ball and have any like sustained attacks, which was an interesting point that he brought up. So it's basically what you're making right now is that Mainoo would help with that. So was that interesting that he recognized that and I'm assuming knows it's a weakness of you guys and still doesn't start at Mainoo? Yeah,
exactly. So I understand he doesn't have that many options, but I think I think you can feel so bad for him because he doesn't have the pieces to make everything work, but you do have to maximize the pieces that you do have, and I don't think he did that in this match. And I haven't really had too much of an issue with his team selection and choices in the past few matches. I don't really love the lineup we put out against Chelsea, but I can understand it. But other than that, I haven't really had major issues with this team selection until this match. So that's something to watch because I can get over some of the performances and not taking our chances and stuff like that, but you do have to make sure that you're at least doing everything that you can to make sure that we're succeeding.
And what's up with his 60-minute center back sub? It seems like he does that every game. Around 60 minutes. Why does he do that? Because I feel like no managers consistently sub out their center backs. They usually stay in the entire game. Do you see is there a strategy or point to that?
I think it really depends. I think for some players it's a fitness thing, and then for others it's trying to change a bit of the dynamics. Whether it's like I think a lot of the times it's been Harry Maguire coming on, and he's so dominant at set pieces when we need a goal. Like, it's just good to have Harry Maguire on the field.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's what I was assuming with him coming on. But even he came off this time, so.
Yeah, and then him coming off, I'm not really exactly sure. I think it was more so him trying to say, okay, that one I don't really know how to explain what the sub was this time. I think it was just saying we need to get Lenny Yoro on the field, and I think he's, I guess, pretty adamant about having a left footer at that left center back position, so he doesn't really want to move Luke Shaw when he doesn't have to. I think he's probably begging and can't wait for Lissandro Martinez to get back, to be honest. And then, because I guess he doesn't trust Aiden Heaven in that left center back position either, which I think is really interesting because he got a lot of major minutes towards the end of last season. He looked great. Everyone's saying, oh, we might have just saved ourselves money on buying a left center back. And then Aiden Heaven has played 0 minutes this season. So I have no idea what's going on with that situation.
Nice. Yeah, I just find it interesting that like every single game that I can remember, Amorim's making a sub instead of back around like 60, 70.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just to give us a little bit more legs and energy in our center back positions because they do a lot for us as far as build up and like covering ground. Like they do have like a lot of responsibility to like kind of get forward at moments and jump at certain moments and whatnot with the press. So maybe it's just like a freshness of legs thing too. But yeah, going back to the game. So notable moments, I kind of touched on this, but for me, the goals, again, like I don't know if Brentford played the better match than this. I don't know if they dominated between the boxes and were doing this thing. It was just like another, like the first goal was a mistake by Harry Maguire. We had a good rest defense. We had 5 people back versus Brentford's 1. And Harry Maguire just kind of got beat. He tried to play him offside and just was kind of caught flat-footed and couldn't recover after he got beat off the offside trap. And I thought that was a really poor goal to give up. I also think Bayindir could have done a bit better himself, but I don't want to put that goal on him. But I do think once he sees Harry Maguire get beat like that, like come off your line a little bit, he just didn't come off his line at all and was almost looked like he was expecting a low shot and just stood still. He looked like a statue. And then the second goal I thought was okay. I think it could have been prevented if we were able to get a little bit more pressure on the passer. But I can understand it because it was a transitional moment. We were coming right at them, and it looked like we had a 4-on-3 situation where we were in a favorable situation. Cunha was completely free on the left-hand side, and then Delo puts in a bad pass that ended up making us lose the ball. All he had to do was put it in front of Cunha, and he plays it behind him. Cunha gets tackled. The ball pops out to a Brentford player. They hit it straight over the top. Or maybe that was the first goal. Sorry, I'm getting that confused. That was the first goal. That's how the first goal happened against Harry Maguire. And then the second goal was us not getting pressure on their back line. And there was confusion in the press, and they just hit it over the top, down to pretty much like the top right corner of the 18. Igor Thiago just gets ahead to it first. They get a little cutback, and that's something that your center back should be able to deal with. But then Bayindir saves it, but he spills it right to the like top of the 6 in the middle of the box. Granted, we should have players there to help react faster than the Brentford one, but I think Bayindir could have done a little bit better there. And then the third one, I just don't even really know what Bayindir is doing. I don't know if you saw that goal, but we have all of our bodies up trying to score. Brentford hit us on the counter, and then Jensen just hits the ball as hard as he can towards the middle of the net.
He did smack it.
He smacked it. He hit it hard, but I just feel like I don't know what Bayindir was doing. I really don't. Like I don't know what he was thinking. I don't really know how to explain it. I'm not trying to put the whole goal on him, but I do think that like it went to the middle of the goal. It's not like he hit a corner.
It was within like feet of his hands. Like it was like it was like right at his pretty close to his hands.
Yeah, like he definitely, in my opinion, could have done better in that situation. And
like, at least got touched the ball.
Exactly. Like at least like it didn't even look like he tried. Like I don't know what happened there. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm pretty frustrated watching Bayindir play. I do think he's worse than Onana. Not that I think Onana should have been our starter either, but I do think he's worse than Onana. Like Onana had some howlers, but he would play well for multiple games at a time and then just have like a howler or 2 in a row. Like he would get in those moments, but like when he wasn't in those moments where he was messing up, like he was actually a decent keeper.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bayindir just doesn't have control of his box. He's not a great shot stopper. Like he made some good saves in the beginning of this game. I'll give him that. But I just feel like he's just not to the level. And I know we don't want to throw our new signing in, Lamens, just because he's so young. I think he's only like 23 or something like that and still new to the league. And we don't want to throw him in. But at this point, I'm like, it can't be worse than that. So let's get him out there and switch something up. I think we need an injection of something new into the team. And I think maybe throwing Lamens in there and seeing what he's got might be helpful for the team because behind here obviously is not cutting it. And then another notable moment from the match is Bruno's penalty miss. That came from Nathan Collins fouling Mbeumo in the box. We actually had a nice play, and Mbeumo has a ball that was cut to him from Cunha, I believe, and he gets pulled back by Nathan Collins, who it gets called back to VAR. They call the penalty, but they don't give him a red card, which I thought was a very interesting decision because I feel like if he doesn't get pulled back there and Mbeumo's tapping it into the back of the net, it was on his left foot. Like, I just don't really understand the decision-making there. Apparently, they're saying that because Mbeumo wasn't in control of the ball, it's not a obvious goal-scoring opportunity or denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, which I think is a crazy decision.
Yeah, because the reason he doesn't control the ball is because he's pulled back and fouled.
Exactly.
And Collins is not making a play on the ball whatsoever. He's just pulling the man back. It's
purely trying to pull the man back and trying to prevent the
terrible call by VAR, easy red. I want to know like what the decision is if they explain that. That one made no sense whatsoever. Easy red card.
Yeah, I would love to see the PGMOL statement there. And like it sucks because I feel like a moment like that completely changes the game. Bruno obviously should have converted the penalty. But he doesn't, which is one thing. We've seen Bruno miss 2 penalties this season already, which is crazy for him. I think he'd missed 6 penalties in his whole career. So at least maybe it's 6 in his whole career at Manchester United or 6 in general, but his penalty percentage is like through the roof. So for him to miss 2 penalties right now is like, I think I said it was a recession indicator. I saw a tweet about that. But even if that misses and we get that red card, I do think this is a different game because at that moment in the game, we did have all the momentum in that second half going into there. And I think once Bruno missed and that's not a red card, you could kind of feel the energy and the vibe of the team drop a little bit. And it sucks because I feel like there's been multiple moments recently where it's like, if this moment goes right, this could have been way different. But at the same time, like, yes, it feels like there's just no luck on the side of the team right now, but you have to create your own luck at a certain point, and you have to put yourself in those situations to where you're not relying on luck to beat Brentford or not relying on luck to beat Fulham and like some of these other teams. And so on that, I still have to put the blame on Amorim and the team. They have to do better and they have to get more from this game. It's simple as that, to be honest. Yeah.
Not to downplay Bruno missing the pen, but the wait in between the call and him taking it was absurd. Like the VAR check took forever, and then they made a substitution as well. Maybe it's a little dark arts there by Brentford, but it was like the longest wait ever.
Definitely.
So definitely, just not saying Bruno should have missed, of course not, but some slight consolation for him because that was pretty insane.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. I meant to make a point about that. I thought that was crazy. Like I know it's legal, but I don't know if I can remember off the top of my head the last time I saw a situation where there was a penalty and then a team was allowed to make subs like before the penalty was taken. I feel like those subs usually come after the penalty is taken.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why more teams don't do that, honestly, to try and like ice the kicker.
Yeah, I guess you only get a few subs, so unless you have it like ready, like you're not going to waste it or like completely change your tactics just like on the chance. But yeah, I don't think that should be allowed personally because it definitely does a little dark artsy.
Yeah, definitely. But so yeah, just kind of generalizing my takeaways from the game. I kind of just mentioned this already, but like feels like the luck is really down and a couple moments could have gone the other way, but you just shouldn't need luck to beat Brentford, and it feels like the pressure is right back on Amorim's back, and it'll be really interesting to see how things proceed with him. I know a lot of fans seem to be fed up, but there are reports coming out. I've seen conflicting reports. The first more reliable report that I saw says that Sir Jim has basically come out and said that he's backing Amorim still. He says he doesn't think it's fair to judge him. I've got a video coming out on this later today, hopefully, but he says he doesn't think it's fair to judge him until he has a full season with the right team, were his exact words. And they said any reports of an external list of managers being compiled to replace Amorim are off or like wide of the mark. So I thought that was really interesting. That came out on Sunday, so just a day after the game. And I feel like those are briefings by the club done on purpose. Simon Stone is a pretty reliable Manchester United reporter, so it seems like that probably came from the club, and they're just trying to quell any sort of speculation that Amorim's job is at least in immediate danger as of like the next game or two. but it'll be interesting to see what happens if he goes and loses or draws to Sunderland, because that'll send us into the international break when the media has time to cook up whatever narratives they need to. It'll be right before the Liverpool game, so I think he's got to start getting results soon, regardless. But it sounds like he's still got the backing of the club. I know Indy Caleb tweeted a different exclusive today, saying that Amorim's been asked to change his formation from the 3-4-3 to a 4-3-3 in his next match, which I think is really interesting. And then apparently he said that officials at United think it's a matter of when he gets sacked, not if. I saw a pretty reliable United account, Sully Talks, reply to him directly and say this whole report is BS. He said Amorim wasn't even at the training ground today because the team was given a rest day, so there was no urgent meeting where he might have been told these things. But I'm not exactly sure what to believe. I'm seeing conflicting reports, but I think regardless, it's an interesting situation. I know a lot of people are getting fed up, but at the same time, I do understand the sentiment of you don't want to be riding. Carl Anka used this analogy to say, he said, you don't want to be riding the wrong train for too long because it becomes more expensive to get back on track, get back on the right path. But what have we really learned from these first matches that would have changed your opinion from the summer so much that you think it's time to let him go? I feel like there's no other managers out there that I am super excited about that I feel like come in and make an immediate impact on this team, at least in a meaningful manner. I think you kind of just got to ride these inconsistent performances as of right now. Like, we knew that the team wasn't really set up well. And yes, we won against Chelsea and that gave him a little bit more goodwill. But like, I think I even said it, like, it's hard to take any sort of meaningful takeaways away from a win where there was like that red card like that. Mm-hmm. So did you really learn anything different about this team? Like, did anything really change other than there was another loss? Like, granted, I know the sentiment is things need to change and need to get better, but I don't know if you overreact from a loss like this and fire him now. Let's see, maybe assess it, what happens in the next international break and see what options are out there. But I don't know. I feel like just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how we're not sure that he even has the right pieces to really improve the team in a super substantial manner. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck in between. Like, I'm pretty frustrated with the results, but at the same time, like, I don't really have the appetite to start over right now either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are in a really tough spot. Yeah.
Let's see. I think I said last week as my hot take that I thought Amorim will be fine. That I think, the underlying numbers are okay. We've got, like, I think there's still hope for him and he will be all right. Losing this game is a huge hit to him, but we'll see. If they can go out, obviously it's a huge if, but if they can beat Sunderland, if they can make it, if he can make it through the Liverpool match, he's got 10 of the most easy matchups that he can play over that next 10 game period. It's just a matter if he can get to those matches or not. And let's see what he can do there.
Yeah, last week I said I don't think he'll be fine. So kind of on that. Still believe that based off this loss. Don't know when he'll get fired, but I think it's a win, not if. I don't think he's like the right fit for the position. And like with the current state of the club, not being able to like buy the right players to fit his game style, and just with the current squad, I don't think he's a good fit basically. So I don't think it's gonna work out long term. But I can't say I like fault him too much. I think it's more like the club issue. But that's just kind of my update from last week.
Yeah, I agree. I think about it and I'm looking at the issues and people are saying he's got to either change the formation and do something different. I just don't know. Like, I do even help. I kind of subscribe to the idea that like a lot of the stuff that like a lot of the issues that we have, like a lot of the goals and the chances that we concede aren't really even like that formation based to me. Like, I think it's like mental lapses, and then also like part of what helps us lose control. I think one thing that I can attribute to him is we don't look good at defending set pieces, and that's one way that teams are able to build pressure on us is when they can get multiple corners in a row on us or like chances from free kicks and stuff like that. I think that really changes the momentum in our matches. But I don't see us, like, we've played the back four. Like, we played the back four with Ten Hag, and we saw how poorly that went. And granted, we have a couple new players in, but do we really have the players to switch back to a back four? We sold our best wingers in Garnacho, Rashford. Like Anthony was not a great winger, but like we sold our winger type. So like, do we really want to like? Do we really think firing him and going to another back four manager is going to really help? And if not, like, why not just stick it out and stick with this 3-back? Give the team more time to try and figure it out. Mm-hmm. Just because I don't see a change in manager being that thing that's going to revolutionize our team right now.
Yeah.
The only thing being that maybe you get like a new manager bounce, but is that new manager bounce going to be sustainable, or are we just going to find ourselves right back in the same spot? Because the issue is we probably don't have the best squad to help, carry out whatever tactics we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just the last point I'd like to make about this is I think your goalkeeper situation is a great single example of the poor mismanagement of the squad. How are you going to say that Onana is bad and you need to get someone better than him, but you're going to let him go and be stuck with Bayindir, who is obviously worse, and everyone knew that he's worse because even when he was healthy and getting some starts over Onana, they went back to Onana last year. So are you going to get rid of Onana, get stuck with Bayindir, and not bring in someone that's going to be better than him? It's this is just a simple issue that you're not going to address and fix. So you're going to let it get worse and then not find a way to make it get better before the season starts.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I actually like that you brought that up because I saw some reports around when Lamens was getting signed that they were bringing in this young, unproven keeper. Yeah. And Amorim came out and basically, I think Amorim's request internally was I want an experienced keeper. Like the Emi Martinez stuff was Amorim driven because he wanted someone that can come in and be an immediate upgrade because he knows how important that goalkeeper position is. Mm-hmm. And now the club was like, nah, we're taking a long-term view. We want to bring in a keeper that can become one of the best, but isn't right now. But then that kind of leaves him with his hands tied because it's I got to start Bayindir, who's not good, or I got to throw this kid into the fire and potentially ruin his confidence. And he's basically got no good options there.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah. Let's move on from United though and look forward to game week 7. So looking at our predictions, what we do in this prediction series is Spain and I will predict the winners of the matches for the following weekend, and then we will add up our points. And right now we are tied at 16 correct predictions each for the season. We missed a couple weeks. We're not that bad at predicting. We just missed a couple weeks. That's why we're on 16. But now it is time for game week 7.
We did have a pretty rough week last week. We did both say after picking last week that it was a tough week and it was hard to pick the wins. The results from last week were 3 correct predictions for Tochi, 2 for myself. So bad week, but yeah, we're not quite as bad as 16 looks because like Tochi said, I think we missed 2 weeks for predictions. Game week 1 and then 1 week when I was Seiko Knit Pod.
Yeah, so if you're curious, last week, the games that we got right were we both got the City matchup right versus Burnley, which kind of felt like a layup. I got the Tottenham versus Wolves draw correct. And then that was almost a loss for Tottenham, though. Mm-hmm. And then we both got the Arsenal win over Newcastle correct. But everything else was an incorrect guess on our part, so let's hope we can do better this week.
Mm-hmm. All right, I can go first this week since you went first last week.
All right, perfect. Let me get these games pulled up and game week 7 matches starting from the top. So who do you have in Bournemouth versus Fulham?
I'm going to go with Bournemouth. Could definitely see a draw here, but I think Bournemouth at home, they're going to bounce back after drawing Leeds last week.
Okay. And then we've got Leeds versus Tottenham.
I'm going to go with a draw here. Tottenham are better, but I like Leeds at home. I don't really quite believe in Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah. And then we got United versus Sunderland. I believe you said you're no longer picking United in the pick'em.
Yeah, last week I picked United and you made a point that I was probably my first time picking them. And I felt like I got swayed by your propaganda during the pod. So I would not be picking United this week. And I'm going to go with Sunderland. I feel like a draw is probably more likely, but just off vibes, I'm going for Sunderland.
Fair enough.
They've been super good. They're up to 5th place. So shout out to Sunderland.
Yeah, they are cooking. They are in red hot form. Mm-hmm. And then we have Arsenal versus West Ham.
Arsenal should be an easy one for us.
Nice. Chelsea versus Liverpool.
Liverpool. I just see Chelsea take points off Liverpool, but I think Liverpool will win this one.
Gotcha. And then we've got Everton versus Crystal Palace.
Palace. They've been super good this season.
Nice. Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest.
Newcastle. Forest been terrible.
Nice. Wolves versus Brighton.
Go with Brighton on this one.
Okay.
I have a hard time picking them, just so I never know what to expect, but I'm going to go with Brighton away.
Gotcha. And then we've got Villa versus Burnley.
Villa. They've starting to finally look better, and at home versus Burnley, they should win this one and score a few goals.
Yeah. And then last game of the week is Brentford versus Manchester City.
It's got to be City. City are looking better. Holland's in red hot form, and Brentford is, yes, they beat you guys over the weekend.
Yeah.
But let's not say too much. But no, I think Brentford aren't as good as they were in previous seasons because of what they lost, and City look really good with Holland especially.
Fair enough. I think some solid picks. This week feels a little bit more straightforward than last week for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. All right, your turn. You ready?
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bournemouth at home as well.
Nice. Leeds versus Tottenham.
I'm gonna go a draw in this one. I think normally I would pick Spurs in this one, but Spurs play midweek, I believe, in Champions League, so I think their squad is going to be a bit tired, and that might play to Leeds' advantage, especially with Leeds being at home.
Nice. United versus Sunderland.
Been burned a lot. Been burned a lot so far, but I am going to go with United. Nice. United at home.
Okay. Arsenal versus West Ham.
Yeah, give me Arsenal in this one. But I think West Ham will put up a fight. I think Nuno will have his first full week in charge of West Ham, and he's going to have them set up to play pretty defensively, which is what Nuno's good at. But I'm still going to think Arsenal get it done at home.
Yeah, I definitely wish we were playing the Graham Potter West Ham because that would be an easy win. It will be tougher with Nuno, but I still expect us to win. Chelsea versus Liverpool.
This is an interesting one. I don't think Cole Palmer will be back for this one. Maybe
they said not to. They're going to rest him until international break.
Okay. No Cole Palmer. I'm going Liverpool.
Okay. Everton versus Palace.
I'm going to go Palace are red hot, but I'm going to go with the draw.
Nice. Newcastle versus Forest.
Give me Newcastle at home.
Wolves versus Brighton.
This is a tough one as well. You never know what to expect with Brighton. I'm going to go draw because Wolves are at home.
I was close to that too. Villa versus Burnley.
I think Villa are such frauds, but they do seem like they figured it out a little bit, and I think that momentum is going to help them out, especially with them being at home. So I'm going to go Villa.
Yeah, like Burnley just gave up so many mistakes. I mean, you watched the goals back for City right before this, and there's no way they don't give away at least 1 or 2 goals to Villa, who are like looking finally a little bit better. Brentford versus City.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Manchester City in this one. While Erling Haaland is red hot, I just feel like it's hard to beat him.
Nice. Well, those are our Game Week 7 predictions. Hopefully, we pick more than 5 correct total between the two of us this week.
Yeah, I got a better feeling about this week
sure. I have a lot better feeling. This was, I think, a lot easier than last week.
Yeah, I feel like last week I got like 75% through the picks, and I was like, I don't think I felt confident about a single one of these so far.
No, they were all really hard.
Maybe besides the City one, obviously. All right, but that wraps up our lightning round of predictions there for Game Week 7. We will check back in with you guys next week to see how it went. But now we can move on to, this is kind of our miscellaneous section. Do you have anything you want to talk about FPL wise, or just any other topics? I know Champions League is this week, anything like that?
Christian Pulisic deserves a shout out because he is on fire right now for AC Milan.
Yeah.
They just beat Napoli 2-1, I believe it was. Over the weekend, they win the first place. Napoli were the reigning champs, who are, I think, up there as well. But Pulisic is on fire. Did you see his first assist?
I did. It was nice.
Sick. Gets a touch at midfield, just like to touch it by, is on his horse. Get onto the ball, takes another nice touch by the defender, tries to tackle him, can't get it, and just plays a really nice ball across the box for an easy, not quite a tap in. The other attacker on the other side still had to put in a good shot. But oh my god, that was an insane assist by Pulisic. He had another sick ball down the middle to one of the other guys who nearly scored, should have scored. And then he also had a goal. He is looking incredible right now. So I love seeing that from Pulisic. I hope AC Milan can win the Scudetto and he gets to win a trophy for AC Milan. And if he stays on this form and stays healthy, he could be the player of the year in Italy. So early prediction for Christian Pulisic to win player of the year in Italy if AC Milan.
Nice.
Well, I'll predict that AC Milan win the league and that Pulisic wins player of the year as an early prediction.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. I mean, I think that's a great shout out. I was watching that game on Sunday from start to finish because I was actually watching for the Napoli side. They're like kind of my second team. They're like my Serie A team with them having Rasmus Højlund and Scott McTominay. So they're just a fun team to watch. And I was super impressed by what I saw with Pulisic. Like, he was just balling out. He looks like he's in, like, I think that rest that he had over the summer that he took that everyone was complaining about did him well, man. He looks like he's got some good energy under his legs. He was moving fast. He put in some great balls. He was cooking. Nothing else to say. And I hope he keeps it up this season. Like you said, hopefully he can go into the World Cup next summer on some great form and hopefully as a Serie A champion.
He already has a game with 2 goals and an assist. I mean, he's just racking in the goals and the assists. And I was reading some of the comments on YouTube, and some like the AC Milan fans were saying he's been like their most consistent player and just love him. And yeah, I love what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah. Another thing from the match that I love to see was Modric versus KDB as well. It was cool seeing them embracing each other after the game. And Luka Modric, apparently, like I've got this guy that I follow on TikTok who's like, I don't know, he's like another small creator and he's an AC Milan fan. He's raving about Luka Modric as well, saying he's still got the engine, he's got that Croatian blood in him.
40 years old, I think?
At 40 years old, still doing it, man. So good for him as well.
Yeah, something about the Croatians. They can play until their late 30s, early 40s and still kill it.
Yep. I'm trying to think. Any other notable shout-outs? Marcus Rashford. What am I saying? I wore this for a reason. Marcus Rashford, my boy, is absolutely balling out for Barcelona as well. I watched their game against Real Sociedad, who aren't the best team in the world, but Marcus Rashford is in there making a difference. He had another assist, and then he had multiple really good shot opportunities as well in that match. So I think he's just playing really, really well. Seems to be finding his form. I think he did really well kind of stepping in and taking a lot of the creative burden off or in that team with Lamine Yamal being out for so long. And then shout out to Lamine Yamal because he came back from injury in his first game back and literally like maybe 45 seconds after coming onto the field sets up a goal immediately. Of course. And then was just like he was toying with the defenders out there. Like he was like taking on double teams and triple teams and just seeing if he could dribble out of it for fun and then just passing the ball off. He looks like he's ready to prove a point again this season. So it'll be really interesting to see how he plays against PSG. I think that was the point of him coming in that game was to get him ready for PSG this week. So that's going to be a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, speaking of that, I hope Vitinha's healthy because I really want to see that midfield battle between PSG's midfielders versus Barca. Because Pedri's on fire, De Jong's playing and healthy and looking good. Did you see that triple touch by Pedri?
Yes, dude. I was just about to bring that up. That was nuts.
Mind-blowing how he did that.
That was absolutely nuts.
So for anyone that hasn't seen it, he like scoops it. He's dribbling up against like 2 defenders. A Sociedad defender slides. He scoops it over him, touches it like with his knee as the ball is going up, and then as it's coming back down before it hits the ground, touches it with the outside of his foot that he scooped it with to like get past the second player. It was unreal.
It was so sick. I hope this was what he was reacting to, but the Sociedad defender just kind of turns around and puts his hands on his head. Like, how did he just do that? It was such a great reaction.
It was insane. One of the coolest, most impressive pieces of skill I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like a flashy one. It's like the Iniesta style skill that you used to see from him. It was insane.
Yeah, I love watching Pedri. Honestly, this Barcelona team is just so fun to watch. Like, I have been a Real Madrid guy my whole life. But these guys, like watching between Lamine Yamal, Pedri, De Jong, and then you've got Marcus Rashford, of course, joining the team this season. It's so hard not to root for these guys for me right now. So, Team Barcelona right now, especially while Manchester United are in the gutter.
Is that a PSG game on Tuesday or Wednesday this week?
That's a good question. I think it is the Wednesday game, if I remember correctly.
So definitely have to tune into that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Barcelona versus PSG. Barcelona at home. Are they back in the
Nice.
Camp Nou yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's still the Stadio Olympic. Yeah, but I'm excited to watch that game for sure. If it's anything like I saw Barcelona playing the other day, I think they're going to be in great shape to take on PSG.
Any other
Um,
miscellaneous things you want to cover?
I think that's it for me. Other than just hoping that I can, I gotta rework my FPL strategy here now that I have a free wild card already. Like I think it's too soon. I was thinking about if I didn't use it in 6 to use it in 8, but now that's too soon with my team being set up the way it is. So maybe I'm
Yeah,
targeting that wild card 13. And then I also want
13.
to give Logan Jernigan his flowers. He early on, this was a couple weeks ago. Like there were other people on it. The only other person that I saw that was on it as hard as him was maybe it was Walsh from FPL, from the FML FPL. Logan Jernigan is all about the DEF CON. And he said, and his strategy was, let me get all 4.0 defenders from like all these relegation sides and just let them ball out. And so he can get an optimal Mo Salah and Erling Haaland build. And that might actually be the meta I'm thinking moving forward. And so he said it. He said, watch, man, the meta's going to shift this way. He's a visionary. He doesn't follow these FPL content creators either. This is just a pure Logan Jernigan cook up in his head, and I think he might actually be onto something with this team. Besides the Bruno penalty miss, I think it was working out for him. So
Nice. Yeah, he didn't play triple captain. If he would have done that, he would have. So he still had a good week. That would have really helped him out a lot.
yeah, I agree.
Shout out to Logan for that. I'm right behind him. He's in 11th. I'm in 12th in the league. I'm 5 points behind him, so coming up on Logan. Hopefully, I overtake him this week. I had a really good week. I scored 74 total points. Triple captain Holland really paid off. My triple move, I had 3 saved transfers. That it netted me plus 16. So I did Salah to Semenyo. That was a 5 point net gain. Rogers to Njai was a -3 net loss, which I don't know how Rogers got a assist for handballing it.
Yeah,
Deflected. I'm not really worried about that one. And then Wood to Holland was like obviously huge. And then triple captain Holland was huge.
yeah,
So 74 points, had a game week rank of like under 1 million. So that's big. And like basically half my rank from 5.2 million to 2.7. So things are trending upwards finally after having a really rough few weeks. Really loving how my team looks. I had Sar on my bench too, which really hurt.
yeah,
If I would have started, I didn't really think, I knew I wasn't going to do that realistically. There's no one I really felt that he should have started over playing against Liverpool. But if I would have those 11 points over like Reinders, that would have been huge. But
yeah,
really happy to have Sar because not many people own him. So
yeah,
feeling good about my team. I think I'm going to do Milinkovic to either Gabrielle or I'm kind of going to do Timber just to change things up a little bit.
yeah,
Timber nearly scored. One thing I didn't mention during that game was that sick ball from Zubamendi
yeah.
over
A
the
little
top
dink.
of Timber. And another thing I didn't talk about was how good Pope was. He made some crazy
Yeah,
saves. If it wasn't for him, we would have had like 2 or 3 more goals.
yeah.
So I like what I'm seeing from Timber. So I really want to go Timbers to be a little different. Even though Gabrielle gets on so many headers, but I'm
Yeah,
leaning towards Timber just to save a little money and change it up.
yeah, yeah. I don't hate that. Looking at my team, finished on 32 points this week, but that is including the -36. So I scored 68 this week. So good week for me as well on what would have been my wild card. I deliberated for so long, and I do like the structure that I went with. I think obviously I got burned with I had Mbumo come in and Bruno. I kept them in as my United players, and then Dorgu as well. Dorgu I knew was always going to be a risk. I knew that was going to be a little boom or bust. That Mbumo and Bruno combination almost worked out nicely because Mbumo drew the penalty, so he would have
Yeah.
gotten the assist in FPL, and then Bruno would have gotten the points for the penalty. And I assume those two probably would have got the bonus points as well. So
Yes,
that could have
that's
been a huge swing for me.
what's like 5 points for a midfield goal. 4.
I think 5. I think.
Yeah, so that's be 5 plus the assist 3 plus like 3 and 2 bonus points or two at least 3 bonus points. That's like an 11 point swing right there.
Yeah. So that hurt a little bit, and then I was never gonna start Alderette but he scored and had a 17-pointer on my bench for
Insane.
Sunderland, which is crazy. Had the goal, clean sheet, bonus, probably DEFCON 2 or something crazy like that. I don't know how he got that many points, but I was shook when I saw that. I did captain Holland, so I didn't get left in the dust too badly by the triple captainers. I'm glad I brought in Gabriel and Raya as well. Senesi got the assist at the end. Semenyo got the goal. And then, I'm hoping Gabriel continues to get me points, either with the clean sheets, or I'm hoping that his corner threat gets back up to where it was last season with Saka taking corners again and him coming back into the team. Is really what I'm banking on. So I was really happy to get the goal there at the end as well. And then other than that, I feel pretty good about my picks, though, moving forward. What I'll do this week, I'm not really sure. I'll probably try and find a way to bring in another Arsenal player. Probably take one of Bruno or Mbumo to Saka. Or if I have the money, I can't remember if I have the money left over, maybe do João Pedro up to Gyökeres. I'm still a little bit undecided there, but I think I'm going to try and save transfers, but I do think I want to try and bring one transfer in for an Arsenal player.
Nice.
The other thing that was a little disappointing.
Eze.
Yeah, I am too. I'm trying to wait and see like how the teams are going to shake up, if like Eze is going to be a continued starter in that team or not. But I'm also very intrigued by Eze as well.
I think he is. I mean, West Ham could be a lot better defensively with Nuno, but it is West Ham at home still. At home for us, we can always score 3 goals. So it would be a really good week to bring in Eze, and I'm thinking about it. But it would have to be for a hit for someone, for like Bruno. But Bruno, you guys have a good fixture on paper against Sunderland. But Eze is someone I'm looking at. I think he will start most of the games either at right 8 or left wing.
Yeah, that's true. I do think, I guess with like the current injuries and stuff that you guys have, he's probably going to be a starter regardless. It's just a matter of where he plays.
Yeah.
Which is fair. It's fair. Gotcha.
It's definitely like a short... It's someone who I would bring in knowing that I have a wild card in my back pocket in case like things don't go well.
Yeah.
And I need to. And like probably around 13 I'm going to use it anyway. But yeah, I would like to do that because he's so low owned right now.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. Because I do feel like I need that third Arsenal asset, and like Eze would be fun and probably the one that I like the most. Saka, I feel like I want to bring him in, but I feel like he's kind of susceptible to early subs, especially with you guys playing Champions League and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then Gyökeres, I think makes sense on paper, but just eye test, I kind of hate watching him play sometimes. So I'm like, am I spiritually going to feel good about it if I bring him in and then he doesn't score or something like that? That's like one of those ones that would hurt me, like a Phil Foden type move.
Yeah. I am worried not owning him, though, because with our fixture coming up, because he's really highly owned. I think he's going to score a good number of goals. Maybe not a ton, but I think I am worried not owning him.
Yeah, that would be really like the main reasoning, is just to protect myself against him, especially within our mini league. Even like he's one of the higher owned players, I feel like.
Got a lot of Arsenal fans in our mini league.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, we'll see. Should be a couple fun weeks of FPL. Like I said, I gotta climb my way back up to the top there, because I think if I hadn't done my blunder, I'd probably be up in like 6th place or something like that right now.
Jeez, that's tough.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. I think that's it for me, though.
Yep, all good for me.
You'd be
up to 6th place right now.
Yeah,
tough.
Yeah, I'm more pissed because I have a head-to-head against Logan and Kyle based on league position finish. And I'm not completely out of it, but whatever.
Yeah, giving them like a 36 point boost or like advantage isn't good.
Yeah. So luckily they're both not doing just amazing right now. But all right, I think that's it for us. If you guys are still watching, thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that, share with a friend. We appreciate you guys consistently tuning in, and hopefully we got a lot more coming for you, and excited to talk about game week 7 next week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.